In this segment, we're going to be talking about new souls and old souls. We've touched on these two different groups of incarnated beings, as it were, really one and the same being, but two different aspects of relating to this earth, two different groups of souls, if you'd like. Now, what we're going to build upon is some of our earlier discussions about leaving the battlefield, about rising above, looking for compatibility and incompatibility. All of these things build upon each other, but we want to give you a little context for those of you who might be getting very mad right now, or feeling unsettled, or irritated or stressed about how some of your fellow human beings are acting right now in this time on this earth. That's why we urge you, in a phrase, don't be mad at the new souls. All right? It's good advice for old souls and for new souls that come from a higher vibrational plane of existence. So when we say new souls, we're not talking about all new souls. Some of you new souls are very, very wise and advanced beings that have come here and incarnated in these human bodies in order to assist with the transition, the shift of Earth at this important time. Others of you are new souls coming from lower frequencies, planes of lower vibration, and you are graduating into this earth and getting very excited about starting a new school year. If you recall from earlier episodes, we told you that Earth is a school. It's a school that teaches incarnated beings, consciousness, about power in the various ways one and groups can explore power and the dynamics that go along with them. Now you're coming up at the end of a long, approximately 26,000 year school year, a giant school year, an earth cycle, and it's ending, and for you old souls, it will be graduation time quite soon. But just because things are ending for you, it doesn't mean that a school year isn't starting for another whole group of freshmen. And that's what's happening right now on Earth. You've got one cycle ending and another beginning. Now, in the tumultuous in-between time, to many of you, it seems as though the fate of the Earth and humanity hangs in the balance. Is it going to end up being an explosion that destroys the entire planet? Is civilization going to crumble and be reduced back to the Stone Age? Are we going to get through this and transcend and be a better, happier society? Well, any one of these things could happen. Not likely an explosion of Earth, by the way, but there will be a big change. And it's appropriate, because one school year is ending and another is beginning. So for those of you who are done with the 26,000 year cycle, you're ready to move on to the next experience, the next school. But that's a very small minority of you. You have billions and billions of people right now. You have a huge population, greater than almost any time in recent human Earth history. So that's a ton of new souls coming in. All you have to do is do the math and look at how rapidly that population has been rising, and you'll realize there just aren't enough old souls to fill all those bodies. And you know this, you old souls, you know it intuitively inside of you. You know if you've been around for a while, and you know that you've been taking up a lot of the human bodies for many, many centuries and millennia. And now, all of a sudden, there's a surplus of human bodies. Who do you think is filling those bodies? It's a lot of new souls, more new souls than ever. And only a small group of them are coming from the higher planes of reality to help with the transition. The vast majority of new souls are coming from planes of existence, planets, that have a lower density, a lower frequency than your Earth. In other words, they are worse than your Earth, if you'd like, in terms of exploring raw power, division, and other sorts of conflicting energy. These are the best of that group. This is the honor student class of that lower group who have graduated and earned the right to explore at a higher level of frequency some of the same themes, but now in the Earth classroom. So in other words, they did pretty darn well back where they came from. They were the enlightened ones. But now that they're at Earth, they're the new kids. They're the freshmen. And compared to you old souls, they seem very primitive, very immature indeed. They're the ones tailgating you, and they're being rude and disrespectful, and they're the ones writing nasty messages all over the place on social media, etc., driving you crazy, saying, why aren't you more evolved and more compassionate? What the heck is wrong with you? And there are a lot of them. And if you're irritated by it, as an old soul, we urge you to step back, to relax, and to realize that you need to have compassion for them, because they are excited new students getting to this new school, getting ready to start this 26,000-year school year, and they're fired up about it. But they're bringing their old energy. In reality, they're simply here for orientation, because their school year hasn't even started, by the way. You haven't reached the cusp in which you graduate and the new school year starts. That's the big shift that everybody talks about, but it's not quite here yet. We're at the edge of it. We're gliding into it, or perhaps plummeting into it, depending on your point of view, but it hasn't finished. It's an ongoing process. So as all these new souls come in for their first or second incarnation, just getting their feet wet, they're really here for the pre-class party. That's why it seems like such chaos. They're running around and tailgating each other and acting rude and disregarding all courtesy because they're in the midst of a super duper party. They're letting it all hang loose, getting all fired up. And because they're disoriented by the higher frequency of energy on Earth, it is going to take them a while to find their feet and to rise up to that level. So they're being reactionary in bringing their old energy into your system. And that energy clashes with old soul energy, particularly those of you on a path of evolution. So it makes you feel you're being inundated, that all of society is under siege, that it's being brought down and crushed and destroyed. And from your perspective, perhaps that is true, but it's not being done in the malicious way that you think. It's a natural outgrowth of freshmen in a crazy party jag, not really having the maturity to understand how their actions are affecting the greater society, the planet, and least of all, old souls like you. So you have to have extra compassion. You have to step back and realize that you're graduate students. And just like on a campus on Earth, where you have freshmen and you have graduate students walking around the same campus, you're sharing the same space, but you're not in the same class. You've got to remember that. You are not taking the classes that these new freshmen, new souls are taking. So even though they may be tailgating you, that's just akin to a couple of freshmen trying to bump the graduate student off the path as they rush down to the cafeteria. They're not doing it to be malicious necessarily. They're doing it because they're living in a different aspect of the school. Their priorities are different. They're competing to get the last dessert at the counter in the cafeteria. They're competing to blow off their classes so they can get to the big parties on Thursday and then party all weekend. They don't know or care that you're carrying your dissertation, trying to have a nice quiet meeting with your professor as you wrap up perhaps your last lifetime and get ready to graduate. So just as a graduate student shouldn't be angry at the loud dorm that's rocking and rolling when the freshmen party getting ready for their school year, instead, you should just walk down the campus path, go to your own quiet dorm room, as quiet as it may be or not, and work on your dissertation, reminding yourself that you put a lot of work into this. You've had many, many lifetimes of work to create this dissertation, to get ready for graduation. Don't blow it now because you're going to go and party with the freshmen or chase them around campus, scolding them, getting mad at them, going down to their level and saying, you better behave, you got to get your act together. That is not your job. Your job is to concentrate on finishing your dissertation, keeping your energy up, staying on the path of evolution, writing that final chapter of your dissertation so you can get your diploma and get out of here. Now that's not to say you have nothing to do with keeping the Earth's energy up. You're sending energy and love and compassion because your gift to the freshmen is going to be leaving them with the best possible campus they can have. And you, being a light battery, will create the energy in the energy field of the earth, in collective consciousness, that may well uplift this classroom that the freshmen are about to enter. So if you do nothing, they'll trash the place, and they very well may end up in the Stone Age when their 26,000-year cycle starts after this shift. But because you're evolved souls, you don't want to let that happen. Even though they may be rude sometimes and party and play their music way too loud, you still have an inner feeling of obligation that it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do for the planet and for society, to send them energy, compassion, and send the planet the same kind of energy to try to leave them with a little better place, a better foothold, a higher level of baseline frequency than they would have if they were doing it all on their own. So that's a big part of your job, but you cannot get lost fighting and getting angry at the freshmen along the way. You need the perspective we're telling you right now so you can remember you're sharing a campus, but you're not studying the same thing, you're not doing the same thing. Don't let them pull you off your path. You must finish your dissertation and you must be in a position to graduate, or else guess what? You're going to get stuck with them in the same freshman class for the next 26,000 years. And even though it may not go back to the Stone Age, you're not going to be very happy doing it all over again. Trust us. You want to graduate and get on to the next classroom that is a fit for where you are on your evolutionary path. Now, these freshmen are going to start the class one way or the other after the shift. They're going to have the same 26,000-year school because they deserve it. They're here to learn what you've already learned. They're here to go through all the bumps and pains, all the growth that they need to, the highs and lows, all the history that you went through in a different form and fashion, but it's their right. They're here to study that. And you have to realize that it's not up to you to deny them that right or to judge the way they're behaving as they enter into this school year. You have to let them grow as they will and understand that that's where they're coming from. When that shift happens, they are definitely going to go into a new phase of Earth, and it may not be pretty. You old souls may likely not save the planet the way you think you might be being asked to do. In other words, you may have visions that you'll turn this planet into a paradise, but that's most likely not going to happen, because the new souls in the next 26,000-year cycle need it to be a little more primitive. They need it to be at a place that is appropriate for their level of growth, appropriate as freshmen to learn the lessons that you learned. So what you're really trying to do is to give them a little nicer classroom, a little nicer planet, a little better place, a little head start, but one that still allows them to do all the growth they can do. So we hope that's helpful for you. You old souls and you new souls from higher frequencies that are feeling upset about how your fellow humans are acting right now. Remember too, there's a lot of very strong energy coming in from collective consciousness, from outside of your planet, from the shift itself, from all of the star configurations, and from the beings that are adding energy to help you along the way. It's powerful, potent stuff. It's making these freshmen lose their minds. They've gone from a lower frequency place of habitation to a higher one, which in itself is very disorienting, and now it's the middle of a shift. They've come a little early for orientation, and the shift is about to occur, and that's adding even more disorienting energy, and it's making a lot of them go bananas. So you just have to chalk it up to freshmen being freshmen. Stay on your path, finish your dissertation, send energy to the earth to help make the next classroom the best it can be for a freshman class, and then you go on your journey and you will find everything works out best for all involved. Till next time, we love you.